Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we are going back to Valhalla. Well, not quite. We're actually looking at the potential site of a legendary Viking settlement of Jomsborg.
Yep. Yeah. Now, Jomsborg is known to be a Viking stronghold that was uh, from a order of Viking mercenaries known as the Jomsvikings that appear in a number of Icelandic sagas from around the 12th and 13th centuries. Um, it was supposedly built by Harold Bluetooth, the Danish king from which we now get Bluetooth devices. Yes, the company actually named itself after him.
Yes, and the symbol that we use for Bluetooth is his like signature basically. It's his symbols like overlaid on each other.
Yeah, it is effectively his crest.
Oh jeez. We're
um,
just using some dead dude's sigil.
yeah, that listen. On letters, that would be his mark that proved it was from him. That would be his seal.
And now people in the modern day either use it for music or get frustrated because it's not connecting properly.
Yeah. Which not connecting with other people properly is a hallmark of Viking tradition.
Oh no! I thought they were really good at bringing people together. I mean, they must have been really big religious fanatics with how much they visited monasteries.
Yeah. Anyway, supposedly Jomsburg was destroyed in 1043 by another Danish king, this time a Dano-Norwegian king called Magnus the Good.
Top tier name,
Which, yeah,
top notch name.
yeah,
If your name is
yeah,
Magnus, already a huge
yeah,
dub. But if you're Magnus
yeah,
the Good,
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. The funny thing is, this name translates literally as "Great the Good." Because the name Magnus was actually a title given to people that meant the great. It's actually is a it's a title that became a name, like Augustus, which meant the uh, the best. It's a title
wow.
that became a name.
So Magnus the Good destroyed this legendary settlement that was nearly 100 years old
Mhm.
by Harold Bluetooth.
Yeah, um, yeah,
Interesting.
and the people have been searching for its location basically ever since because its exact location has never been known. And given the fact that it's only recorded in uh, semi mythical sagas and accountings of the great deeds of people from several hundred years after its destruction, has led to a lot of speculation that this might be a mythical place. Icelandic and other Viking sagas are not known for their historical or geographical accuracy so much as they are known for the glorification of the men in that are their subjects.
And if we're speaking of mythology and archaeology, um, it brings us to our favorite topic of the field, Nazi archaeologist. So Indiana Jones does have some historical truth because in the precursor to World War II in the 1930s through the war, archaeologists from this region, because I don't want to continuously say the word, YouTube will
Yeah,
flag us for that.
yeah.
Um,
But
they
German
went
archaeologists.
Yes, German archaeologists of a certain Reich.
Listen, just say the sentence, Justin.
Yes. Anyways, they basically would go out and they would do a ton of archaeology, um, partially looting already established museums and cultural centers, but they would also conduct their own research. In this case, they were trying to find the historic settlement of Jomsburg because they wanted to make a connection to this
Yeah,
mythical, legendary
yeah,
site. You can use your Italy
yeah.
example. I think that's a good
Yeah.
one.
No, I'm not gonna get that. But basically, what they're trying to do in the context of finding Jomsburg is because Jomsburg is supposed to be a was built by a Danish king. It should be in the vicinity of, say, Denmark, Germany, or Poland. And they were hoping to find the site as proof that they had a grand city in their territory from ancient times, much like how the Italians had Rome. And then their plan was to predate it by a few thousand years and claim that it was older than any of the other cities. because Germany during the Second World War has a major like fragile masculinity to it,
Yeah,
and
that's a good way to
desperately
put it.
needs validation that it is one of these centers of civilization, that it is one of the big boys after all. Seeing as how all of its rivals have massive centuries, if not millennia long traditions of civilization, and
Well,
Germany is a newly formed country.
that's part of it, but then the other part of it is with the ideals that they had been trying and working to achieve.
I don't want
Um,
to talk about their ideals. I'm talking about it in
I
the
know,
most roundabout way I can.
but what I'm saying is, with their ideals, they were trying to find a way to tie into this great, race of people that precedes everyone, and that they can call heritage to, they can call lineage to. It's almost in the same vein as like the leadership that we're like, I'm God divined because how else would I become king? And they're trying to do something similar where it's like, we are, you know, superior because we have this, and in
Yeah,
reality
yeah,
that's not the case. One, but two, turns out that the site might actually be legitimate.
yeah, yeah. But basically, they didn't find it. It was
No,
found much later.
by a Polish
By
archaeologist.
Yeah, yeah. Known as Doctor. I'm probably gonna butcher his name. Filipowiak.
Powiak.
Um,
In Polish,
yeah,
that becomes a V, so it's
yeah,
Filipowiak.
yeah. There we go. See, we're making progress here. And Filipowiak was excavating what is known as Hangman's Hill,
Badass
uh,
name again.
which was a place of public executions for um about 900 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, 8th century to 17th century. And in their excavations, they found a number of bodies and burials, as you would expect from a place called Hangman's Hill with 900 years of public executions. But they also found a number of burnt ramparts, buildings, and other materials that date to about the time that Jomsborg would be around. They date to approximately the late 10th century, I believe, which would be
Yeah.
just before Magnus the Good is recorded as having destroyed the city. It may not be Jomsborg, but it's the closest thing anyone has found to a place that most likely existed.
And what the justification for it is, it does align time wise, but then also it aligns in terms of its locality to Volin. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it sort of fits. Obviously, they're going to do more research. They're going to do more excavations. I
Mhm.
constantly talk about how there is this publication lag in the field. So
Yeah.
even though this news article just came out, what was it, earlier this week, like the 5th or the 6th?
Yeah, I
Um,
don't have the exact date in front of me, unfortunately.
but basically, this is probably 3 or 4 years old worth of information. It's just, as researchers, we hesitate to make these assumptions and to make these claims unless we have some basis and some evidence to back it up. And like I said, with with that lag in publications, this has probably been known and probably further along in the research process, but it just
Yeah.
takes a while to synthesize all the data to make sure you're getting everything right. And when it comes to dating stuff too, I think it's important to highlight carbon 14 dating is fairly accurate, especially 1,000 years ago. But to carbon date, they need actual material, and thankfully, since the wood was burned, wood is a carbon material. The burning gives us a conclusive date. Granted, the wood could be a different age, but we'll at least be able to tell like how old it was.
Yeah, and Justin, I do want to correct one thing with you because again, with a lot of times, there is with that lag, people trying to be certain. Unfortunately, also with a with places that are semi become semi mythical in the field of archaeology, like Jomsborg, and another good example would be the tomb of Alexander the Great. People tend to jump the gun just a little bit with those and claim that, hey, this site could be this thing, in an effort to draw attention to it, to get better excavations, to get better funding. the tomb of Alexander the Great is most commonly known for people just declaring it the second they find something, because it's the only way to get more funding.
Yeah,
So
so there's
Jomsborg
certain
is unfortunately another one of those sites that gets its name thrown out a little too frequently.
yeah,
This,
so
however, is one of the better candidates that have been seen in like 20, 30 years. So this is, if it's gonna be it, it's it's gonna be here.
I can't
Just
wait to see in
yeah,
5-10 years when we are proven to be right and that this is the first
yeah,
potential video on the site.
yeah,
Legitimately. But
yeah,
yeah, it's interesting to talk about, and yeah, you do get some sites that jump the gun, but then you do get some sites that are like uber certain, so that way they don't overly step what they say.
yeah. It's just an unfortunate thing with semi mythical sites. People do throw the name out a little too quickly.
Yeah, and
But I think that's a good point to end, right?
yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you.